love is an incredible thing, and we don't know love like we should. We always talk about, I have unconditional love. Unconditional love is, we don't even know it, because if a person stops stimulating us, we stop loving them. You're not interesting to talk to anymore. Goodbye. But that real love, that love that sometimes is difficult, difficult to have, that's that love.
There it is. That's that love, you guys.
There it is.
That nobody wants. Everybody say they want, but nobody really wants it.
Well, it's not even. I think it's unfair to say no one wants it. So
they do. They don't want to put the work in for it.
I was going to say, and they have no. Listen, come on. We got to be. You have to be sympathetic to the human condition. Like, I don't know if I've been imbued with powers or I'm just paying attention. What it really is that people are just afraid. They're afraid they can't sustain it. I understand what people are looking at when they look at me and my wife out, when they look at us in groups of other married people. They're not only saying, how can I acquire it? I'm afraid I cannot sustain this thing. That's where we get all of this outward projecting of issues and people behaving like they don't like marriage. It's all fake. You want exactly what you're looking at. And it sparks insecurity in you, either because you were never taught, either because you're failed relationships. But no, they all want it. They all want that type of love. They understand what it is. They're just afraid of it because they feel like they're going to fail.
So I love that answer, Trigger Mike. And I want to take it one step further. I think so many people are avoiding their own demons, and in a healthy relationship, those things surface. But if you spend so much time avoiding them, that's the thing that really makes it scary about sustaining it. If you do not work through those parts about yourself that you don't love very much, or that are scary, or that are ugly, or that are hard to deal with, that person is going to bring it out of you. And not intentionally by being toxic, but just a healthy dynamic will start to reveal those parts of you that aren't so healthy, that you thought you worked through. And I think a lot of people don't want to do that don't want to look at themselves enough to take accountability for themselves. Like when we talk about love being selfless, like that's it, that this person and what we're trying to do and build is so much bigger than me that I'm willing to work through these parts of me, right? Instead, we put it on the other person. We make it their responsibility. We make it their fault. They were triggering. They were toxic. What came up for you? Why did you react in that way? Why did you feed into the toxicity instead of disengaging, right? And I think that's the part where we're not even able to get to marriage in terms of like, can we sustain this? We're not having successful relationships because the moment those things start to come up, whether it's courting or dating, whatever the nature of the relationship is, they start to come up from the very beginning. And as they come up, if we're not dealing with them, we're running away from them. We're ending the relationship because I don't want to see this part of me. I don't want to acknowledge this part of me. So I'm going to end this. And it goes back to that point about people being so easily discarded, right? People being so easily replaceable. I don't have to deal with this with somebody else. If I keep getting into new relationships, I don't have to deal with this part of me, right? I'm just going to find somebody that can put up with it so that I don't have to change. I don't have to confront that part. And I think really it starts in singlehood. But that grows, that work doesn't stop once you start partnering with somebody before you even get to marriage.
Also, I think the big thing about, especially when you're married and you're committed and is you're truly like till death, with that mindset, that also comes with in spite of, like a lot, where I'm going to love this person in spite of, because you're both coming into a relationship with flaws. And kind of like what Inaz was saying, is that a lot of times your partner is your mirror. So in a sense, it's like if you are selfish, then I don't know how it works or why it works like that, but the opposite, the reflection of your partner is going to teach you how to be selfless, right? Or if you lack patience, it's going to be something in your partner that's going to challenge you to make you learn patience. And so that part of those areas in you that you need to work on are going to be the same things that keep popping up in your relationship over and over until you actually address those things. And that part, I think, for me, and I speak personally, in the younger part of our relationship was, of course, you're still learning yourself. You don't really know a lot about who you are, and you're learning along that process. But in that process, you end up seeing a lot of things that you don't like about yourself, and you don't realize it until you have that mirror that shows you and somebody calls you out on it. And then you get to the point where you're okay, I'm gonna stop being defensive about it and let me, try to do better. And in your process of learning and growing, the opposite for the other person is you just got to hope that they are going to love you enough through that so you can begin to mature. Because I look back on some of the things like early on in our relationship that I'm like, man, listening to y'all like now in these, spaces, like, he probably would have kicked me to the door, but the fact that we loved each other, it was like, we're going to stick it in and work it out, because these things, like I look at where I'm at now, and I know I couldn't be the person that I have become without the experiences that I've had with him. Nobody else could have done that for me. It took him to do that for me.
So I have a question. You guys don't think that the lack of wanting to be responsible has anything to do with it?
The lack of what?
Wanting to the responsibility. Commitment comes with a responsibility.
Absolutely.
Do you think that has a lot to do with it?
So
today, it says, and during today's time, with which what's going on, do you think that it has a lot to do with people just don't want the responsibility
of love or relationship or commitment? Like,
well, I would a commitment, because the whole point is we don't want a whole bunch of situationships out here. That has definitely not been beneficial.
Well, no, that we obviously do want situationships out here.
I don't think people want a situationship. I think they end up in situationships.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's necessarily, because listen, men are. This is why I told you I don't address men at all. All the men that want to be responsible are, and the ones that aren't, you can't make them. We're men. You can't make them do shit. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
But this is the funny thing about men and responsibility. Men are soldiers. They're so easy to get in line if you know what you're doing. The funny thing is, this is why we always refer to the women. Men will do what you require. If you require responsibility in mass, as a society, guess what? A majority of men will start being responsible, right? K jewelers will run out of rings the second legs close and all women are requiring marriage.
I agree.
For regular sex. Okay, so that's why I don't really get into those things about men and responsibility. What is required, right? They're getting free ass out here. No responsibility, right? It's all, to me, correlated. So